As the ages pass, I, along with my colleagues, often wonder how many of the divines have been forgotten to time, and if much like the Ventara, if there are any of those that we have never encountered, and if so, that certainly begs the question, in our greatest time of need, why do they all remain silent? Today we shall continue to explore the various Isran that dedicated much of their time towards guiding and aiding a particular species and culture of Iskara, and covering some of the information we have gathered from records and stories of old. Sunborn, the mother of stars and constellations, and the ever-bright, Salaria is the goddess of stars, light, and the day. The chief deity for the Solvathar, or Sun Elves, Salaria varies little in her domains across the multiple pantheons that exist, though some attribute to her the aspects of life and growth. One of the three deities referred to as the Celestial Sisters, which includes Salaria, Ayun, and Kalista, most see Salaria as the matriarch of the three, though the Moon Elves would quickly disagree with such claims. Salaria's artifacts include the Sun Dancer, the Star Heart, and the Ember Shards. The Sun Dancer is an elegant glaive that can summon beams of light to strike down upon a target. The Star Heart is a magic orb that can drastically enhance one's light-based spells. And lastly, the Ember Shards are a pair of daggers made of pure sunstone, and they can leave behind searing wounds. It is said that Salaria's realm, at least in elven myth, is believed to be a city that sits amidst the clouds, and above sits a white star with solar flares that constantly warp around it. The sister moons and ladies of moonlight, Ayun and Kalista, are the twin deities of moons and the night. Primarily worshipped by the Lunvathar or Moon Elves, it is said that the followers of Ayun and Kalista were hunted by followers of Salaria millennia ago, but most records of such events have vanished with time or have been purposely hidden or destroyed by the Vidithari Dominion. The artifacts associated with the twin goddesses are the Crescent Blades and the Moonlight's Grace. The blades are a dual-form weapon. As its base state, the crescent is a chakram that can be thrown, and in its secondary state, it can be split into two daggers. The blades are capable of cutting through most armors, and in its chakram form, once thrown, it will return to its wielder. The Grace is a cloak that can render the wearer completely invisible, making it a prized possession for any spy, assassin, or thief. Ayun and Kalista are believed to be the only deities to share a domain and realm known as Lua. Their plane is a place bathed in moonlight with mountains and crystalline formations that twist and curl in unusual ways. The Earth Bone, Root Mother, and the Great Shaper, Elanar is a goddess of nature, druids, and ballads. In legend, it is said that Elanar was rather reclusive and uninterested in divine affairs, or mortals for that matter. But upon witnessing the religious persecutions at the hands of the followers of Salaria, Elanar took pity on the elves that migrated to the heavily forested lands of what would become Sylvanwood. Here, Elanar entered a pact with the elves, one that would aid in their survival and preserve the sanctity of the natural world, and thus the Silvathar, or Wood Elves, were born. The artifact associated with Elanar is the Green Song, a longbow that weaves together bark, bone, leather, and sinew, and it is said that its arrows, when striking a target, conjure roots that ensnare said target. In some Silvathar faiths, it is said that Elanar placed a door to her realm within the largest tree on Iskara, the Seralith Elanar, though that door has remained shut for millennia. Elanar's realm itself is said to be an infinite jungle where the trees reach above the clouds and their branches twist and curl like serpents. It is also believed that the creatures inhabiting the realm are made entirely of plant life, sustained by the powerful earthly magics that radiate throughout the plane. Lady of the Winter Owl, Mother of Fangs, and she who runs in the wilds, Artio is the goddess of winter, wildlife, and wind. In Felvithar legends, it is said that Artio was the first to reach out to the early elves that would become the Frost Elves, whereas Artio's bondmate, Felwin, needed to be persuaded to take an interest. Artio, who saw potential in these early elves, showed them how to survive the frigid lands that they would call Noran, and it was through her teachings that the Felvithar would be born and equipped with the necessary skills and knowledge to thrive in their new home. Artio's artifact is the Winter's Crown, and it has served as a symbol of nobility and authority among the Snow Elves for centuries, though its divine enchantment has been lost to time and it remains the only artifact to be inactive, and what caused this inactivity is unknown. Artio's realm is one said to be a realm in which it is eternally winter and vast mountain ranges reach towards the aurora-filled skies. father of beasts and the Ursine lord, Felwin is the god of endurance, protection, and preservation. A rather secluded god, Felwin rarely interacted with his snow elf followers, though there were those that proved wise and strong enough that would serve as his priests. Though his priesthood has increased with his absence, but many would say its quality has greatly diminished. Alongside Artio, Felwin is said to have served more as a protector or guardian to the emerging snow elf people, rather than a direct teacher. Felwin's artifact is the Great Bear's Hide, and is said to be capable of allowing its wearer to shift forms into that of an abnormally large bear, with arcana-infused claws and teeth, mimicking but a small fraction of Felwin's visage and strength. Felwin's realm remains an unknown, though some suspect it is quite similar, if not shared, with that of Artio's. The Great Hunter, the Bloodied Arrow, and he who lurks, Tarukq is the god of the hunt. A patron deity of the Arakiri, it is said that Tarukq was the one to teach them the importance and skill of hunting, and how to pay respects to the world that provided for their means of life. And while Tarukq is most often associated with the Arakiri, some scholars believe Tarukq also took an interest in the early Wood Elves, who, as a result of their pact with Elanar, needed to rely on hunting in order to survive, though the interpretations between these species greatly varies. His artifact is the Dread Bow, a longbow that can generate its own arrows, and the wielder can subtly guide fired arrows to travel in ways other arrows simply cannot. His realm is known simply as the Hunting Grounds, a heavily forested realm teeming with beasts any true hunter would relish in tracking and taking down. The Spirit Mother and the Giver, Shuri is the goddess of spirits, community, and charity. Was often associated with the Arakiri, particularly that of the Kemmerai tribe in modern times. In some myths it is said that Shuri was once the wife of Sarin, but such legends have become less favorable as the Sereni and Arakiri relations in the east weakened and the general worship of deities lessened in the western lands of Nikova. Shuri's artifacts are the Staff of the Other Side and the Warder's Aegis. The staff is said to be capable of summoning an Alethi, angelic and orderly beings said to serve the respective Isran. However, the staff has been lost since the incursion, and many wonder if its enchantment would even work following the disappearance of the Divines. The Aegis is a shield of graceful design that can produce an Arcana ward which is capable of absorbing or redirecting most spells. In ancient Arakiri legends, it is believed that Shuri's realm is one where the ground is made of clouds and thousands of rivers and waterfalls flow throughout, and at its center sits a grand community center where it is said the ancestors and many others would gather. The Hammer Hand and Forge Father, Alladon is the god of forging, smithing, and craftsmanship. When among the Trinity, the primary faith of the Ostron people, Alladon is of great import to the Pale Giants. In Ostron myth, it is said that the Trinity each served a role in creating reality, with Alladon's responsibility being that of creating the World Forge and creating the physical aspects of reality and the beings that would inhabit it. Alladon's artifact is the World Hammer, a large warhammer capable of producing devastating shockwaves with every strike. Alladon's realm is fabled to be one of magnificent volcanoes that pump out lava that is used to fuel the greatest forges in any dimension, and it is within these forges that many suspect that most of the Divine's artifacts were created. The Painter, the Song in the Wind, and the Hand that Guides, Immeril is the goddess of arts, passion, music, and creativity. The second of the Ostron Trinity, it is said that Immeril was the one to provide Alladon with the imagination and rhythm necessary to forge reality. In Ostron culture, Immeril is seen as the goddess that fuels their creative endeavors and the engine behind their people's prosperity. Her artifact is Bashiel's Touch, a paintbrush said to be able to bring anything painted using the brush to life for an unknown amount of time. Immeril's realm is said to be one of mind-altering and abstract designs, where rivers flow backwards, trees grow sideways, and the ground shifts and morphs into impossible shapes, and never-before-seen colors radiate throughout. And it is these qualities that have led the Ostrons to call it Un Tual, or a dream's mosaic. The First Thought, the Lady of Progress, and the Boundary Breaker, Naril is the goddess of ingenuity, inquisitiveness, and risks. The third and final member of the Ostron Trinity, Naril is believed to be one who gave the ideas and ambition to Alladon and Immeril's respective roles in creating life and the dimensions that contain it. The Oserons often see Naril as the proverbial black sheep of the Trinity, as she represents the risk takers and the pushing of norms and expectations, and it is these qualities that push the Oseron to seek the new and novel. Naril's artifact is the Mind's Eye, a circle that allows the wearer to hear the thoughts of those they focus upon. Of the Trinity, Naril is the only one whose realm remains unknown, though some suspect it is a primordial place that is ever shifting and where the new is always being chased after. And that concludes our second look at the Divines of Iskara. In the next part we will conclude with the final selection of Isran. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and feel free to like, subscribe, and comment any of your ideas, suggestions, or feedback down below. I'd really appreciate it. Take care, and happy world building.